Hey YouTube, it's JP Dillon. Today we're looking at a 1960s, probably around 65 or 66, Sony model TFM-116a. This is kind of a cool little radio that I was given to as a gift. My folks were palling around antique stores or rummage sales or something, and they saw this and they said, he should have that. I thought that was very nice. Anyways, it is missing its battery cover, which is kind of a bummer. But otherwise, it's complete, and there's something rattling around inside, so we'll have to take a look inside and see what's up with that. I don't know if it works. I haven't tried to power it on. I haven't tried to put batteries in it to do anything. But here's the back side, and we've got a FM multiplex out, which is crazy. I don't know if anybody would have a portable multiplexer. Tape recorder, auxiliary input, so that's kind of cool. And then we've got two earphones and an external antenna. So this is pretty spiffy here. And if we look here, there's our info tag right there. So it runs on 6 volts, 1.5 volts times 4. Tells you the IF frequencies and everything. So let's open it up and see what that rattling noise is on the inside. Well, here it is with the back off. And I think I found what's rattling around in there. It looks like a standoff that is no longer supporting that board. So maybe we can get it loose in there. Yeah, it did move a little bit. Let's see if I can grab a set of hemostats and pull it out. Anyway, that's the thing that was rattling around inside. And we see that there's a bit of a screw broken off in there, not on the other side. So this probably took a bit of a tumble. Either that or somebody was cranking on the screw. And since this threaded side is open and we have a threaded screw down there at the bottom, my guess is that the board side is what broke off. So yeah, so we got some mild battery corrosion. Not uncommon. This has got a nice big tuning condenser loaded with these crapola Elna capacitors. Ugh, I hate these things. They're almost always all bad. And then we've got all these little slide switches here which are connected to rods, which then go up to the push button assemblies, which are back up in there. I don't know if you can see them or not, but they're there. And then when we press buttons, you can see the switches being activated there. So, kind of nifty. More stuff to break, though. This was definitely not a cheap radio. This was, somebody spent a lot of money on this. So the next operative question is does it work? So what we need to do is supplement the 6 volt supply somehow, turn it on and see if it works. Well, it looks like we gotta take a pit stop and fix this guy, because as you can see, when I went to go activate the power switch, it decided to fly apart. So yeah, we gotta fix that now. So let's do a quick repair of this guy. And I'll tell you, this has been my week for test equipment failing. I had my signal generator take a dump. And then the old harmonic distortion analyzer, the Heathkit harmonic distortion analyzer I use, had a power supply failure. And now this thing decides that it says no more. So I can probably find a switch to put in here that will work. But we have to get it apart first. So I figure why not just make this part of the video. And the reason why it's pulling up on the carpet is because there's Velcro underneath. Because it had a tendency to slide backwards. This is a Microtina. This was Radio Shack's fancy test line back in the day. This thing's about 30 years, a little over 30 years old. This is the first time it's been opened. So I'll get to see how the years have taken over. This should be interesting. Oh yeah, nice little regulated supply there. All those service adjustments, these driver ICs absolutely regulate the voltage and then feed it to the big TO3s in the back. There's 2 of them because it's a dual channel. They're all independent of each other. All right. Well, that's not too bad. So what are they doing here? I guess this is the switch, and then this is just the supply for the silly little neon lamp that was inside. So I really don't care about that. I don't need to know that it's on or not. You can use a meter and find out, or use the one on the front panel. All right, let's see what switches I have. All right, so it looks like the only thing I got in stock right now is this little rocker or this toggle. The rocker is about the width of the original switch, so I can put some spacers in there and make that work if I have to. So I think we'll go with that option of the rocker. Let me just pop this one out. Assuming it's going to cooperate with me. Things haven't been cooperating lately, so. All right. Let's take a look at the inside here. Yeah, it just popped out. Yeah, that's weird. All right, so I guess we'll save 2 and 3, or 1 and 2 as they call it. This is the actual hot lines that do that. And then, not sure what this does, but they're tied together, so we'll just tie them and cap them. Some heat shrink or something. All right, let's tie them together, solder, then heat shrink, and then we'll deal with popping the switch in, I think. It's the sound of the plumbing trucks backing up, getting ready for a day of work. Because Earl Flight Plumbing is not too far away. They share the same service alley that we do. Okay, let me get a piece of heat shrink really quick. See if I just have something, or if I have to cut it. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have something. And let me just cut a little bit off here. Fit this around here. And we'll grab the heat gun. All right. Then let's see if we can fit our switch through here, or if it's going to be just a hair too wide. Yeah, looks like it's a hair too wide. Wait a second. Why are the terminals wider than the body of the switch? What the? Yeah, the actual body of the switch I can fit through the opening, but not the terminals. God, whose stupid idea was that? Oh, man. Alright, what I may just do for the interim is just tie these wires together just so it's on all the time. It only comes on when the bench is on anyways. I'm more interested in just having a regulated supply that works right now. I'll deal with the replacement of the switch at another date. But right now, I just need a power supply that works. So we'll just heat shrink both. Get some of the dust out of here. It's only 30-something years of dust, no big deal. Alright. Yeah, I don't know whose genius idea it was to make that switch, but I'm sure it's just another wonderful product of the Chinese marketplace. Let's tuck this back in here before I completely button it up. Let's make sure it works. Yep, we register voltage there and there. Okay, so we're good to go. We're just going to put the screws back in it, put it back in its place. Then we'll see if that Sony radio functions at all. My guess is it probably won't. It's got all those terrible Elna capacitors, almost all of which are open. And that looks like a real fun one to take apart, so we could be at that one for a while. This one's definitely not easy to put back together. Every time you move it, the points of the hardware move along with it. So you kind of have to fight moving the case around in order to get it back together. And I know everyone's going to say that, oh, you're so cheap and chintzy and you should get the right switch. And well, that would mean that I would have to get a parts catalog like Mauser, put in some dimensions, the type of switch it is, order one, wait about 10 to 14 days for it to get here, because that's really how long it takes unless you want to spend another 20 bucks on shipping. All when I can just hardwire it on and put it back into service. And I figure the latter's the much better option. Alright, ghetto fabulous. Alright, so I got my leads hooked up. I got 6 volts on standby here. And we're going to flick our amp meter. And we're going to see if it draws any current. Let's hold the camera still here when I turn it on. So here goes nothing. Wow, look at that, half an amp. And it's finally starting to settle down. About 1/8 of an amp right now. All right. Let's turn my anti-jitter correction on. I hear no hiss though. I ain't nothing. Draws current though. Oh. That's really dirty. Oh, we got something. Well, we had something. All right. It's doing all sorts of weird stuff, so let's clean some of these switches and see if that brings it back to life. I think what I'm going to end up using for this is the CRC stuff. because it doesn't leave a residue. It evaporates very quickly. And I don't want to get any residue on anything, so let's clean this guy. And then let's do this guy over here. If we're lucky, yeah, let's disconnect that momentarily. Let's do the stupid thing and work on it energized. Yeah. All right. And then let's see, this one's the big slide. I'm just shooting it into an opening. We're just going to saturate it and then work it a bunch. And I'm partially pressing on one to defeat the latch so I can just go back and forth with it really easily. And then they got this local switch up here, which I'm pretty sure just goes to an actual push button switch, because I see the soldering. And then it's hard to see. I'm going to turn on the light here. Let's see if we can get a look at it a little better. But back behind the here is where our controls are. And let's see, yep, that's the volume control. That's what I'm kind of after. So we're just going to hose that one. Work it a bunch. Maybe that will clear it up. I'm kind of hoping it just works, because I'm not really in for a big recap job right now. All right, and then just to the side of it is the tone switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle the straw a little bit. Kind of like that. And we're going to shoot it at the direction of the tone potentiometer. I'm going to bump the camera a bunch here, so see if I can kind of get up in there. And then work this a bunch. And we'll see if that does us any good. Okay, so let's see if this does us any better now. The volume control is just awful, isn't it? It's probably also got a bunch of DC on it from the fact that all the capacitors are still reforming. Yeah, that's pretty ugly, isn't it? Let's see if I can hose that a little bit more, because that's just bad. Yeah. Okay, I've got one. There we go. I got something. Let's put our antennas out.
Water when you need it heated. Rest of the time, you're just saving the bucks. Put new life into your hot water. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com. Holiday celebration.
Pretty hot radio. It's definitely got good AFC on it. It just locks it right in.
On the center divide. Slow and go.
Jails and detention centers.
Whoa. So that's 89.9 KCRW. That's a repeater. That's a low power.
North 805.
There's 89.5.
Plaza, up
Very cool.
You could put it every day on my smartphone.
7.3 the fan.
You can $50,000.
Llévanos contigo todo el girl. Oh.
Wow. This thing's pretty hot. Let's go to AM here.
With near 12 inches of rainfall.
KNSN San Diego.
Recall 1-866-843-1.
18 deaths following Hurricane Ian.
¿Y tienes pensado remodelar tu garage o hacer un
Radio Network, coast to coast, the Rich Eisen Show terrestrial radio network. Whether you're listening to Sirius XM,
Crews are getting to more hard-hit areas today. More than 700 rescues.
Now we're in a building that's a cinder block building with a bunch of chicken wire around it, so getting AM doesn't work all that great in here. This thing's pretty hot.
testimony, like the story of it.
regularly.
Like that would be KFI, but not today.
Proactive approach to making sure.
But so far, I'm impressed. It actually works. There's something at about 1.5 megahertz. There's something at about 1.65. Nifty. Man, it just like really grabs the FM. That AFC is just off the charts. Let's turn the signal way down. Of course, I also don't have my antenna hooked up here. Man. That's down to about 5 microvolts. Down to 2 on the F. That's pretty. It loses lock after 2. Regains it at 3. I'll turn it up. Wow. So this is that's a pretty hot little radio. And I'm surprised that it runs. It just runs. I didn't have to do anything to it. Other than just clean the pots and switches. Maybe that's why they shelved it. Alright, let's see if we can get, at the very least, that standoff back underneath the board. Maybe I can get the screw out. Well, unfortunately, the footage that you would have seen, my camera decided to eat. So you don't catch me dealing with the standoff. But basically, long story short, I used my flush cutters, since it had a notch for a screwdriver to tighten it down on the board, and I followed that screwdriver notch, and because there was a brass screw, I cut a channel into the busted part of the standoff, and was able to use a jeweler's screwdriver to extract the brass thing. So I just shoved it in the channel that I made, unscrewed it, and it came out. So then I was able to put the standoff back down underneath the board. But then the other half is the standoff that's attached to the case, which that was the other half of the broken part that was stuck in the bottom standoff. So I more or less just screwed the standoff to the back cover and put everything back together. And it's firm enough, I'm not worried about it. But it kind of sucks that I lost that footage, but you know, when you're shooting with a phone or whatever, things happen. And apparently my camera decided to get wonky and it pretty much locked up. And then when I went to go look for the footage, it wasn't there. So anyways, but thankfully this radio didn't need very much. And it's really very sensitive. I was very impressed. The Marine band, the AM band, AFM, it's really hot. So you could probably take this one out in the middle of nowhere like Shango likes to do and get a lot of good radio goodness. And these are all monaural. So you could adapt this, and these are all switched, by the way. So when you plug in something, it interrupts the signal path between the output of the detector and the first audio stage. So whenever you plug something in, it just becomes the audio signal path. If you're going to try to plug directly into your phone, you would need to create a device that has resistors between the left and right channels and what's going to go in here, because these modern op amps don't like to fire into each other, I've learned. Same thing with a Bluetooth adapter. You just have to make something that would work. But otherwise, sucks a battery door's missing. This would be a cool little runabout. If anyone's got a battery door for a TFM-116, I'll buy it. I don't want the whole radio, I just want the battery door. I don't care what color it is. It's on the bottom. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the little video. And I was kind of bummed because I wanted to use that signal generator I just got. But I got lots more transistor radios, so maybe we'll find one that's really buggered that requires it and we'll play around with it. Anyways, more stuff to come.